Hi everyone, Jeff from Anatomy and You back for another episode of Memory Tips and Tricks. So far, you've seen me do a few of these involving word and letter associations. These are my go-to memory tricks, and I think they work so well because we have such a strong innate capability for language. There are several specific mnemonic devices that we can use which are based on letters, and I'm going to be talking about one of these today. Today's memory tips are based on acronyms. An acronym is when you form a word using the first letters of a series of other words. For example, an ATM asks you to put in your PIN instead of your personal identification number. So let's take a look at how we can use acronyms to remember some groups of structures in the body. I'm going to start with a couple of acronyms related to muscles, and Lefty and Muscle Man are going to help me demonstrate. Now I'm going to move in for a closer look so we can see the deltoid and the trapezius. These are important superficial muscles that move the arms and the shoulders. Now when you learn about muscles in depth, you need to learn what's called the origin and insertion for each muscle. These are the points on the body where the muscle attaches, usually to the skeleton, but it can also be to skin or connective tissue. Usually the origin is the fixed attachment, and the insertion is near where the skeleton is moving when the muscle contracts. Now, it turns out that the origins of the deltoid are the same as the insertions for the trapezius, and these are three landmarks whose first letters form the word sac. S is for the spine of the scapula, which is not the same as the spinal column. A is for acromion, where the scapula meets the clavicle, and C is for clavicle. Another useful acronym relates to the muscles of the rotator cuff, which allow for a wide range of motion at the shoulder joint. There are 4 of these muscles, and it's easy to remember them when we use the acronym SITS. S is for supraspinatus, so above the spine of the scapula. I is for infraspinatus, so below. Teres minor, and then subscapularis, the underside of the scapula. Now, these are useful acronyms, but the muscles that we've been talking about don't have anything to do with the sac or with sitting, so they're not perfect. I think acronyms work best when the words that they form actually relate to the things that we're trying to remember, and we're going to see an example of that with today's main memory tip. So now let's switch gears and talk about the nervous system. Today's main memory tip deals with the meninges. These are 3 layers of connective tissue that provide protection to the brain and spinal cord against impact, help anchor them in place, help deliver their blood supply, and provide a channel for the circulation of cerebrospinal fluid, which nourishes and protects the brain and spinal cord. Now, each of the meninges has a 2-word name, and the second word is mater, which means mother. This is because early anatomists thought that all tissues in the body derive from the meninges, but we know now that this is not the case. So I've listed the 3 meninges in order from deep to superficial: pia, arachnoid, and dura. Now, when we take the first letter of each of these 3 words, we can see that it spells pad. Now, I love this acronym because this relates directly to the function of the meninges, providing that padding and protection to the brain and the spinal cord. So if you can remember pad, then you're off to a great start. But then the question might be, how do I remember which is which? Is pia the innermost, or is that the dura? So to get some clues into answering that question, we can look at the Latin roots of these words and then relate them to the function of each layer. The great thing about this is that there are common English words which share these Latin roots. So for example, when we look at the surface of the brain, we can see it's got all these little grooves. The innermost meningeal layer actually fills in these spaces, so it has to be a very thin and delicate layer. The word pia means gentle, and it comes down to us in English in words like piety and pious. So the thin, gentle layer is the innermost layer that fills in these grooves. The outermost layer forms a thick and tough coating. The word dura means tough or hard, and it comes down to us in English in words like durable and endurance. So the dura mater is the tough one, the outermost layer providing that thick protective coating. So going from deep to superficial, pia, arachnoid, dura. Pad. Well, that was today's memory trick, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some acronyms that you like to use, feel free to put them in the comments below. As always, you can find me on social media at Anatomy and You, and you can go to my website, anatomyandyou.com, if you'd like to talk about anything in or on the body. Thanks, and see you next time.